I'm gonna start
But
recording
no, yeah,
now.
I've been putting some money out there. Yeah, basically this week is when I started doing it seriously.
Okay, okay. So
And
which stocks are you buying primarily?
do Delta. So I
Oh,
bought
me too.
Delta,
Me too.
I think on Monday for like $19 a share or 20,
Fantastic price.
and
Fantastic price.
then I bought it again. I think it
Right.
was
So,
yesterday at 17
yep,
or
yep, yep.
actually today. I think
It's
today
a
or
total steal. It's a total steal.
I was thinking about
I
Delta too. I saw it today, but I was
Yeah. No,
like, you know
Delta is a
what?
really good one. It's a safe company. It's not going to go under.
You
The other
know,
ones might. Delta is so strong though.
the only
that
thing about airlines that it worries me is like a Warren Buffett's quote stuck with me. He said like the quickest way to be a millionaire is to take $1 billion and invest in airline stocks.
Oh,
That
that's
stuck with
funny.
me. I just can't
Well,
do
okay,
it. I
so
can't do
so
it.
that's
Warren
really
Warren
funny.
Buffett recently sold all of his shares in all airlines, right?
Yeah,
But that's
Yeah.
also because he's older, and the time that it takes for that to recover, it's going to be out of his time frame, in terms of what he's looking to do.
oh, I see what you're
But
So
he said
just because he's
he's not trading
older.
for him though. Like it's for Berkshire, so like that's not gonna die with him. Like that's what
True.
he's saying.
But I felt like his motives were more selfish than that. I think they're
Yeah,
more towards
probably.
him. Yeah,
But
yeah.
I
saying.
was thinking about Delta, man. I was like, screw Warren Buffett. I might do this, but
I mean, you don't even need to put too much money into it. You could just play around with it. Like put $100 into it if you want to, just see what it does.
yeah.
Exactly.
Because
I
likely
think
you're
it's
not
go
going to lose.
down. That's why I think I only put like a thousand in this last a total of me just buying, um, and uh, and I was like, you know what, I'll put a little bit of money out there, and I'm hoping that next like couple of weeks after just another month of no barely any sales that stocks continue going down. So that's what
Yeah.
I'm hoping
Well,
for.
I think it's going to be very volatile.
Wow. Delta's got a PE ratio of 3.9. That's like
Yeah,
unheard of.
yeah, yeah.
Oh
And I
my
also bought
god,
American
that's cheap.
Express. Yeah, American Express. I got a little bit
I
there.
have that too.
I thought that was a pretty safe bet. I
I have
did.
Amex. Amex is
Yeah,
Um,
safe.
like looking at their market caps also is really good, just because it tells you how strong they are in terms of
right,
like capital and funding.
But
So
guys, if you
for sure.
believe, I know they just went IPO and they had a huge year because this is the first year they're out. But
mhm.
DraftKings, okay, sports is gonna come back, and people are even in a recession. People drink, gamble, and do like all those kind of things, right? So DraftKings is
Yeah,
now gonna be legal in like every state. Sports is gonna come back. Fans are not gonna be at the games. I've been buying DraftKings, even though it's like it's not cheap, but it's like they just
yeah.
IPO'd, so it's
What's the IPO at?
their IPO was like at $3. Now they're like at
Oh,
20.
okay.
They're at $25 right now.
No
Okay.
way. Wow.
Yeah.
So I'm very skeptical of investing in like the IPOs, but I
Right.
do agree with you with like gambling and casino stuff. So I've been following some other types of shares like that, like ERI and CHDN. Those are
What's that
that's
ERI? Let
a
me write this
casino.
down.
Yeah, that's a casino, and then the other one is a horse racing, and those ones look very promising. So I'm probably buy those eventually.
Yeah.
ERI and what's the other one?
CHD as in dog, N as in Nancy.
See, you patrons, you get like the inside baseball of everything. Okay, I'm gonna look at horse racing, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
DraftKings. Hey, I'm gonna look at that.
Yeah,
That's
DKNG, I believe.
KNG. Yep.
Yes. I'm
Yeah.
going long term. I'm not trying to trade that one. I just want to like 10x it for like 5 years.
Yeah, that's how all investing should be.
Yeah, Uber
Yeah.
too. I've been buying a lot of Uber. I like what Uber's been doing, especially
Uber.
with the Uber Freight. Have you guys heard of Uber Freight? What they're doing?
No.
S-
I have not.
This is what makes Uber different than Lyft. Lyft does scooters and like just people needing rides. Uber does that, but Uber also does the Uber Eats, of course. But they have this thing called Uber Freight. So all the independent contract truck drivers that need to pick up, like, to get a contract, Uber's got that
Hmm.
set up just like we use Uber to get a ride, or just like a Uber driver uses it to get money. The Uber truck drivers now are going to be able to like log into the app. Hey, I want to drive somewhere this weekend to earn some extra money. Pop up Uber Freight. Uber's going to tell them go pick this up at Long Beach and take it to Phoenix. And like that's what they're doing now. This is like
Hmm.
I'm very much interested in this because I think it's going to change trucking And they're very much invested in that automated driving and all that, like self-driving. They're investing in that stuff too for the long term. So
Yeah.
I like Uber a
I mean,
lot.
they're going to end up going head to head with Tesla in various
Yeah.
ways, and I think Tesla's going to knock them out of the park, though. This is going to happen.
Or
Or
they'll
maybe
acquire them, or one of them will acquire the other. I don't know which one's market cap's bigger.
Yeah, yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know who's
Remember,
bigger.
remember a few years ago, there was rumors that Apple would buy Tesla and make it like the iCar.
yes.
Yeah,
They
I
should
don't
have
think that's
done
ever going to
that.
happen.
They
Though.
should have done that.
So if you're comparing Tesla to Uber, Uber tried to go into China at one point and they failed. Tesla got into China successfully. So I think in terms of their strategy and what they can do, Elon Musk has proven that he's better than them, I think. So we'll have to see.
We
Especially,
gotta invest in
He's
Tesla too.
motivated. He's a man on a mission. He doesn't care what the
Yeah.
obstacles are in front of him. He'll figure it out and get it done.
But I
and
think
he's
they
proven
could.
it.
I think they could both win at the same time though, because I think like something like automated driving. I think there's gonna be like a lot of key players in that. It's not just gonna be one company. I think it's gonna be a
It's
lot.
true. It's true. Absolutely. Especially Walmart and Amazon are going to go head to head eventually. I think Amazon will buy Walmart. I think that's what's going to happen.
Oh, really?
So that's
We're
my prediction.
screwed.
It's because Walmart has
Huh.
like it doesn't make sense for Amazon to kill Walmart just because Walmart has the best supply chain management in the world. So that's right there makes them very valuable, and that could add a huge value to what Amazon already has. So I would imagine Amazon will purchase them. I don't think they're going to try
And
to like destroy them.
Old, I see what you're saying.
The
Okay.
smartest thing Amazon did, in my opinion, the most underrated but smartest, in my opinion, what Amazon did when they released that scanner
Oh,
that you can download on your app, like 5 years ago. So it basically turned every physical retail store into an
yeah,
Amazon showroom.
100%.
Mm.
Because you can scan the bar item and see how
Yeah.
much it is on Amazon.
Like
Right.
Best
Right,
Buy
right.
is known as the Amazon showroom. Like, hey, Best Buy is like our free showroom. Go in there, whatever you
And
want,
I was,
scan it, we get it cheaper.
yeah,
Right.
no, you and I were at Best Buy, and you and I did
Yeah,
that
we
like a
did
couple
that.
years ago.
I remember that
Best
when
Buy
we were door knocking.
Yeah.
Best Buy they price match, so I always do that when I go there.
Yeah?
I have them price match
I think
to
Best Buy's
Amazon.
days are numbered, man. Talking about days, I don't see how they survive.
I don't know. Well, they've been doing good moves in comparison to like Circuit City, so they might. I don't know. It depends.
Circuit
It,
City.
it depends if they keep doing good moves or not.
I don't know,
But
man. That
they
one's
are at a disadvantage, but at least they have a good online presence. Um, like Walmart's online presence is horrible, which is why I think they're going to lose to
Yeah.
Amazon.
yeah.
But Best Buy has good online presence, and they're still staying competitive, so I think they still have a chance. We'll have to
But
see.
Walmart's, I think the coronavirus is forcing them to change because now they're big on like you order it at home and go pick it up.
With Walmart, you're saying?
Yeah, Walmart's
Oh,
been. I think they've been getting better at that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I hope so. They have to, or else they're for sure going to lose.
I don't
Yeah.
think it's a bad stock either. I haven't looked at the PE. There's too many good stocks right now. I don't think
Walmart
you can
stock is
actually pick a bad
phenomenal.
stock.
Yeah, Walmart's phenomenal. Best Buy has a decent stock. McDonald's I like a lot.
stock Ford is under $5. It's like $4.80
Let
or
me see
something like
Ford.
that.
Yeah, I've been looking at that. It's been going up and down between $3 and $5, but the high point is 10, and I think they have like a 5-year trajectory of, like negative. So
10-year trajectory
yeah,
negatives. That's
yeah.
what,
So I'm not too
yeah.
hyped up with Ford.
I don't me either, but it's like, dang, it's a big name. Like, I was thinking about this today. Like, I don't necessarily think Ford's going to go out of business in the next 20 or 30 years, but I don't know if their stock's going to go back up to $100 a share.
I don't think so.
So,
Wow,
so that's what,
Ford.
Hey,
Oh my God. My dad is a big Ford owner. I think he got out though.
yeah,
Last recession, he bought a bunch, and then he got out after they got bailed out.
got it.
Yeah,
I don't think that they're going to go out of business, but I just don't know, if that stock's going to go.
well, apparently they're not making money because I look at the PE ratio, price to
Mhm.
earnings. Like Delta's 3.9. I've never seen a stock that cheap. Like,
Ford is like 500 something.
yeah, Ford has no PE ratio on there. I think
Oh,
they're
it used to. It was like 500. Yeah, it's
Well, if you
crazy.
look at Amazon, it's like 2,000 or something. I don't know. Let's see Amazon. Amazon's price is 2,300. I own like a bunch in my retirement. I can't
uh,
touch it though. Their PE ratio is 112, so it's not even that
okay.
much.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's good. Yeah, PE ratios like that. That's the first thing I learned about. Like last recession, I learned about investing like a little bit, and I read Rule Number One by Phil. Have you guys read that book, Rule Number One by Phil Towns?
I have not. No.
No.
It's good. So he'll teach you like this PE ratios and all the things to look at in the stock. I highly
Cool.
recommend to you guys and
I'll-
to Patreon members. Phil Towns Rule Number One. Basically, Rule Number One is don't lose money. Rule Number Two, you don't forget Rule Number One.
I love that.
So speaking of not losing money, we got to do something about real estate, man.
Yeah.
Are we recording right now?
We've been recording.
Yeah.
We're good.
Woo!
We're good. People getting the man, it's really tough to grow the Patreon base, but I haven't been doing enough marketing, but I gotta just keep plugging away. We're doing a monthly mastermind now. I need to offer like incentives to get people to refer their friends. Right now we have no incentives. So I gotta figure
Oh, yeah.
something out.
It's a tricky thing, but so yeah, like, with real estate, Joey, I guess what's going on with your business, or
Yeah, dude.
what have you seen so far?
Yeah, so let's see here. So we've been doing this, it's been over almost 2 months or just over 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
In my business, because I'm in real estate sales, the first month, definitely a lot of stuff slowed down. A lot of buyers and sellers were freaking out. And most clients chose to just kind of hold off and pause, kind of like what was happening in 2008 when people just stopped doing everything with big purchases. And so that did happen. But I would say for probably halfway through this, about 3-4 weeks ago, as far as like clients that I'm working with and other realtors that I'm connected and networking with, clients are coming back, and they're coming back and making offers and going out and seeing properties and making moves right now. So there is some more consumer confidence, but for sure, right when COVID-19 was first coming to be, more and more serious, really the beginning of March and middle of March, that's when stuff started to slow down a little bit. But the cool thing, I think one of the biggest reasons why, or biggest things we should talk about is, what happened with home prices over this last 2 months, really, since COVID-19 has become a thing. We know what's happened with stocks. What, 38, 40%? Some are, more below that.
Yeah, Delta's at a PE of 3.9. I've never seen a PE lower than 10. Maybe in my life. Maybe I'm just not looking in the right places.
Yeah. And but with real estate, we haven't seen prices go down, which is actually pretty cool. So prices, if anything, have been just hovering right at par. And depending on where the location is, sometimes, and depending on the price range as well, prices are slightly going up a little bit. But we definitely have not seen any real estate slashes in prices. So that's been pretty cool. And I think that's, one thing that I'm going back to all my clients and past clients is to say, hey, you know what, if you were going to retire right now, let's say you were 65 or so and you wanted to retire, and your only retirement was your 401k or your Roth IRA. I don't know about you, but I would be a little bit nervous right now, because if you had $1 million, in retirement, well, now it's 700,000,
Yeah.
Now, obviously, it's going to go back up. We all believe that, but you're going to start drawing when it's down by 38 or 30% or so. So I think now more than ever shows why to be a little bit more diverse, even outside of just normal retirement accounts, and at least have one rental property, And so we're all, believers in real estate. And actually, Eric, have you had any issues with your real estate rentals?
Yeah, so mine has been good so far. One of my tenants did lose their job, but I think they've been getting the unemployment benefit so far, so they've been able to make their rent. But what was that? I take it month by month with them just to see kind of what goes on. It's very sketchy right now, but luckily I've been unaffected so far,
You
which is a
guys
good
see
thing, of
that?
course.
You
So.
guys see that article? I texted it to Joey. I got to text it to you, Eric. Forgot which major publication said, this crash, unlike the last one, is gonna affect landlords and renters. The
Yep.
same. Like it's gonna be catastrophic. And then there's another tweet I was reading where this realtor in basically Austin, Texas, has been saying that so many people are moving from the big cities like New York, LA, San
Hmm.
Francisco, there, and places like Arizona and places like Nevada. And,
Yeah.
these things were already happening even before coronavirus. And one of the things I think is coronavirus is just accelerating trends that were already happening. Um, but I think there's going to be actually opportunities if we wait till the end of the year, early next year, in LA and in San Francisco, because like just like Delta's like 3.9 PE right now, probably used to be 10. I mean, we can get
Hmm.
a house in East LA that used to be like 400 grand for maybe 250. I don't know.
Well, the prices don't really correlate the same with the housing market. So, like if, for instance, if the rates go down, the prices go up in real estate, right? Because you're going to have more interest in getting it, and then also to qualify is going to become much harder. It actually already is much harder
It
right
is
now,
harder. I'm in the middle of a
right?
refi for like 2 months. Joey, I still
Really?
haven't closed on the
Yeah.
refi.
Yeah. No, it's, I mean, even on the real estate side, like we've had buyers where the lender and the underwriter, they are verifying the employment, they are requiring higher credit scores. I mean, just there's much more requirements that are being taken into consideration right now when buying a home.
They
So, um,
basically, here's how strict they are. I was done like a month ago. They said
right.
everything's done. We're just waiting for your HOA, whatever, which still hasn't happened. So I think they're doing that on purpose. They waited 30 days till May 1st. Then they asked me, okay, send us proof that all your businesses are still in business. So they wanted like invoices from every business, all of them. I was like, all right,
Dang.
I got them all that. And now they're like, maybe they're waiting till June to ask the same thing. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah,
It,
because like
it's
even
like
if you qualify, they're making it even hard for people that qualify, right?
Yeah.
exactly.
Hmm.
And even like high balance loans, like loans over like was it 800 or a million. A lot of banks aren't doing those right now. They're just saying we're not doing those. And there's some banks where that they'll do high balance loans, but they you have to be the perfect candidate for that. 20% down, 800 credit, W2'd, nothing crazy. So I do think that can change in the future, and it probably will change, slightly after the shelter in place gets lifted everywhere.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's definitely the wild west right now.
But
yeah.
I think like the opportunity, like if we were gonna get something in LA, like if the theory is that people are moving out and people are not, and we know tenants are not paying their rent in LA. I mean, it's one of the hot spots for this in the
Right.
country. And then
But they
the
can't evict
landlords,
anyone right
they
now.
can't, but then the landlords can't even pay their mortgage. So then, and are the banks going to take these things back? No, I doubt it. How many places are they going to have to take back? So when these things when these restrictions come off, I think they'll be able to evict, and I think they're gonna
Yeah.
have to sell and sell like at cheap prices. That's my theory. I don't know.
Hmm.
Well, I would imagine if you're renting or if you're a landlord, you would want more tenants. I don't think you would necessarily want to sell unless you were totally upside down and
There's
everything
people.
else maybe.
There's landlords that are. I mean, they're on like thin margins. Like the majority of landlords, from this article I read, only have 1 month of like cash on hand for that property. Should the
Hmm.
tenant not pay? Like
Oh,
it's
that's another thing. So if you have rental properties and you try to buy a house and you want to use those properties as, I guess, assets to help you buy the house now they want you to have like 6 months of reserves for each of those properties.
you see because
That's
they know
ridiculous,
they only have 1 month. Like,
right?
I love Twitter. I've been reading all this stuff about real estate on Twitter. But yeah, 1 month. So what do you do? Okay, your tenant doesn't pay you for 3 months. The bank's not gonna allow you to not pay your mortgage, and
For
so
sure.
they're gonna sell. You know, they'll sell it with the tenant in there, and then somebody like us will take over with a tenant who doesn't pay.
Yeah, that's not a good thing. Never buy with the tenant in there. I wouldn't.
I
Yeah,
Uh,
know. I've sold with a tenant in there. It was okay. He was a good tenant, but yeah.
that's yeah, yeah.
but it takes quite a bit for the housing prices to go down. Like you're saying, you have to have like a mass sell off
Yeah.
or yes, like mass foreclosures for those prices to go down. Because like there has to be so much more volume now that there's not enough buyers, right?
Well, what are you
But
seeing? Are you seeing that this is gonna happen or possible?
I think it's so I think the Federal Reserve is forecasting or predicting that there's going to be a housing market crash, but
Yeah.
I think it fully depends on I think the unemployment rates, how long that goes. You know, the more like there's obviously what 30 million people unemployed right now. So
It's
the
Great
longer that goes
Depression
along,
numbers.
right? So the longer that goes, the less less rents that are going to get paid, the less mortgages that are going to get paid, and the more foreclosures that are going to happen. So it's likely that it will happen, but how long does that take? I'm not sure. You know, it might be a year, it might be less. Who
Right, right.
knows?
How long would that take? Or, I mean, my theory is that if stuff opens up in the next month or so, and those 32 million, let's say 70 or 80% of those get just rehired because the companies that are opened up again and the customers are coming back, they still need their staff, you know. And so I think there's a good portion of that 32 million, maybe it's not 80%, but let's say half of those go back to work, right away. I think that's going to postpone or eliminate a lot of I think the delayed, just a delayed reaction of foreclosures, short sales, all that kind of stuff. But I think we can all agree that whenever the sooner the shelter in place gets lifted, the better for everybody. Businesses, renters, homeowners, the average consumer. It's better for everybody. So,
Yeah.
you know,
The situation is so unpredictable though, because
yeah,
if you open up, the crisis could happen again, right? So
sure.
it's I think we're gonna have to see what happens, because like either they come out with a vaccine or they don't, and we have to essentially just take chances
Even
to
that,
see
yeah. I
what
mean,
goes on.
there's a couple of things. There's the second wave, the third wave, all this stuff they're saying, which is
Hmm.
very possible and maybe even likely.
Hmm.
But you have people that lost their jobs that I don't think will ever get those jobs again. You know, like a
Mm.
Yeah,
lot of the lower income. I don't want to say like all renters are low income, but like the lower income jobs are gone, and I don't know if they're all coming back.
I don't think they are. I think employers are going to change what they do a lot. Like they're going to see what can be done with less people, what can be done with people working remotely, what can be done virtually, and what has to be done like in like a one-on-one, right? So,
For sure.
um, I think the strategies businesses employers use is definitely going to change, and probably for the better in terms of doing better business. But I think it is going to have some negative effects in certain markets, like commercial real estate for sure. Because
Sure.
why would they need to buy so much more real
Right.
estate if they've already seen that they can operate with people working from home, right? So
Exactly.
What do you think? What do you guys think about this theory that the big cities are going to have a dip in home prices, but the second tier cities like, I mean, I keep saying Austin, Texas, but just about anywhere in Texas, Arizona, Nevada, these states that are a little less restrictive when it comes to lockdowns. Because if anything, this lockdown, for good or for bad, this lockdown showed you what each state government really thinks about how they're going to react in emergency situations, and a lot of people
mhm.
are worried like, hey, if something else happens, I don't want to be in California, I'll be
Sure.
in Arizona or in Oklahoma. What do you guys think about prices there
Yeah.
going up and prices here going down?
I,
Yeah.
I could see that happening. At least temporarily, you might see a little shift like that. But also in terms of buying, I think it's not just pricing. I think it might also be the types of properties to buy right now. That would be a smart decision. Like
Right.
multifamily might not be that good of a choice. Single family, yes, but maybe if you buy like a fixer upper, so that you can at least have space
Value.
in there. If the market does crash, you at least maybe won't go negative. So
Oh
I
yeah,
think being
wow.
really smart, not just focusing on pricing, but on what you're buying is probably more important.
That's a good point because up until coronavirus, the theory at least was multifamily. Get multifamily if you're going to invest because that's the cash flow. And now it's the complete opposite. You want
Yeah,
one
complete
family. Even one family is too much.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's also going to be harder for people to become renters now because I think landlords are going to be way more picky with who they're letting
I'm
be
seeing
the
that
renter.
right now. Yeah, I'm renting out a one of my clients is running. I'm helping that client rent out a property in Laguna Beach, and yeah, we're just being more picky, and I have some clients that are looking to rent, and I've seen it on both sides where landlords, and rightfully so, are a little skittish right now. I would be too,
I
because
would
the
be
last
too.
yeah, the last thing I want is for some tenant to try to take advantage of a situation, and I have to cover the mortgage for by myself for multiple or several months.
Yeah.
Yeah, fortunately, my rental right by South Coast Plaza. That tenant, he also got furloughed a month and a half, 2 months ago,
He's a
and
cleaner, right? He's a janitor services.
uh, his wife is, but he works for Marriott. He's
Oh, okay, okay.
a Marriott, and so he got furloughed, but luckily he's been with them for, I think it's almost just under 20 years. So they have told him that, hey, once stuff opens up, we're going to bring you back. And oddly enough, just last week he told me that he got an email stating that it might happen the beginning of June. So I don't know what that means if they're trying to open up. Yeah, I don't know what that means. So we'll find out. But luckily he's still been paying rent, and that's been helpful. But yeah, everybody's being a little bit more conservative and making sure to pick the right tenant when they're looking for a new tenant, when they have vacancies.
So that
Right.
brings up like a bigger issue, I guess. Maybe it's not even practical for us, but like, okay, if landlords are picky and banks are picky, so then most people are not going to qualify to have a mortgage or to rent. Where are they going to go? We're going to convert
Exactly.
colleges into dorms for people that can't qualify, or what?
Because no one's going to college, right?
Yeah, like you might see maybe lower income areas be more lenient for renting, but higher income areas be more picky. Maybe. I mean,
Ah, so that divide between
that
rich
also
and poor
might
is
leave
gonna
room
grow.
for maybe it might be like higher rent prices as well, right? You might, because there's more demand now for to live somewhere, and because the landlords are
Wow.
pickier. I'm
Yeah,
sorry. Yeah.
happened in 2008 is that everybody was losing their house, and they had to go rent somewhere, and rent started becoming in demand,
Right.
even during a downturn housing economy, so that's what I mean. I think all of us can agree on. That's what gets us so excited about owning rental properties is for that reason. Rents hold their value, and in times like right now, they can also go up in value,
Yeah.
during a downturn economy. So
Absolutely. Which is also goes to your original point, diversifying your investments,
right,
because while stocks are going down, your rents might be going up, right? And
right,
that's good
exactly.
for your investments. It helps balance it out.
Yeah, and what I would do, let's say if I was 65 years old and I just chose to retire, and right now I would try to take the least amount of money from my 401k or Roth IRA, whatever retirement accounts that I have, take the least amount that I have to take, and then just live on the rental income or other income from my other either businesses or rental properties during a time like this, just to make those funds last as long as possible. Because I mean, I hate to say this, but if I was solely living off of the income from my retirement accounts, I mean, you're even just this 6 months of let's just say it's only 6 months of downturn for the stocks and mutual funds and everything. I mean, you're taking off, potentially a couple years
Yeah.
of money there, So
This year
nobody
is not the year to retire. No one should be retiring
exactly
this year.
here to retire.
Yeah.
So that just even more so gets me, and my wife and I were talking about this, like making real estate. I used to want real estate 100% of my retirement, but now it's like 80% of my retirement. But so fired up about real estate is because for this reason, just right now. So, but if for some reason real estate and if rentals went down and had problem having tenants paying rent. That's why you have also retirement accounts, right? To be diverse there. So
and other businesses, hopefully, there should be something that generates.
Exactly right. Other businesses. So I think, now more than ever, this conversation is super helpful for guys like us that have years to before we retire to keep going, and try as much as possible to be as diverse and to hunker down and buy property and invest. And, as we're talking about stocks, and I mean, it's, in the opportunity like right now, it's a great time to buy stocks too, conservatively. But it's a good time to, cut as many unnecessary expenses and put that out either in the stock market or for cash set aside to buy, real estate assets in the future. So
yeah. Plus having stocks, having a 401k, an IRA, all that helps you buy homes as well, because that all counts as your assets.
Right. It definitely does. Yeah. And I have clients, every year, a good portion of my clients are using their retirement accounts. And I just had a conversation yesterday with a new client of taking funds from their retirement account for another property.
Wow.
To be
but also you don't necessarily have to draw funds from it. Having it there shows value and in just being qualified, right? So you could just do that too. Because if you have your cash and they just want to see that you have more money, you can just show your other investments, and that helps.
That's not bad. I'm not doing that for my refi. I should do that. They didn't even ask for that.
Right. But you definitely want to list those because it helps you qualify. It just helps show that you have other reserves should you need them.
Right. Jeez. No, for sure. But I am scared for commercial real estate, man.
Would you buy?
That's not where you should put your money at right now.
Would you buy if let's say $1 million building is for sale for $250,000, like in 2 years from now?
I wouldn't.
Still, holy crap!
$250,000. That's what it's.
Well, it's just because it's such a sketchy. I mean, commercial real estate on its own, I think, is not the most reliable. And then we're seeing now the type of impact it can have with with a crisis like this. So it just makes it even more unpredictable. I think there's a lot of smart.
We own one, and we've never been able to rent it out. I mean, we're occupying most of it, but I think now even it's gonna be even harder.
Yeah,
I would consider it. If there was an example like that, $1 million commercial, let's say there was 5 or 6 commercial retail spaces, and it's now 250. I would consider it if I could turn it into something trendy. Dan,
are you talking about for like a flip, or are you talking about to like rent it out? Because
either. Again, think of how many Portola Coffee, how many the Anaheim Packing House, stuff that. Urban and trendy like that, if I can convert it. I heard a stat at the beginning of COVID-19. I talked to a big time financial planner, financial analyst, and he said that since 2008, I think it's actually since 2010, so it's only been 10 years, there has been double. I think at first it was double the amount of restaurants and bars and stuff. It was like in the 400,000s, and now it's like 850,000 in America of restaurants, bars, and stuff like that. So it's doubled in the last 10 years. And just think of like all of the new stuff that breweries, acai bowls, just that trendy stuff. You know what I'm saying? To where I think there is still a need there, but if I had. If I owned a mall, I would be really, really scared. But I would consider either flipping it or keeping it as a rental. Speaking of all this, I would probably flip it, but have it a year or two, update it to where it's nice and trendy, fill it with tenants, and then sell it to an investor that wants steady cash flow. And then I would take that cash and go buy an apartment building.
So Speaking of a commercial real estate, it might be better to like invest in it through stocks rather than purchasing it directly. So like for instance, Simon Property Group, they're actually a pretty good stock to buy right now because they do a lot of commercial. Yeah, they do a lot of commercial real estate, and I think the overall consensus is that obviously things are turning more into online shopping rather than going to the actual stores, but that these large centers will eventually be turned into something more like for shows and like live entertainment purposes.
Oh,
So the idea is that you're not really investing in it for like the retail aspect. You're investing in it for the future potential of these companies and areas turning into these really large social places rather than just for retail.
Right,
yeah.
right.
No, I think you're right. I mean,
So
we're
maybe
seeing that with.
commercial is dead. Maybe commercial never comes back. What do you think?
I think it's going to turn into like this entertainment kind of thing. I think
Yeah,
malls, Walmart, stuff like that, they're all going to turn into something where it's more social rather than you're going just to buy something.
Yeah, I could completely see that happening, and I mean we're seeing that happening. I mean, speaking of the
that's
Anaheim packing
crazy. That's
district,
crazy.
and now that was a warehouse that got converted into exactly what you just said: bars, restaurants,
Yeah,
uh, live entertainment. I mean, all that stuff, like more something to do, entertainment.
right, right. Like a
Uh,
fun place to go rather than just to go around shopping for things that you could just buy online.
Exactly right. More of entertainment on a weeknight or weekend. But yeah, I don't know if I would want to hold that for long term. Because I mean,
Yeah,
look right now. Look at the Irvine Company. I mean, they have a lot of their tenant, or they have a good portion of their tenants that you look at the Irvine Spectrum. That yes, there's places to go to shop, but they've also made that something to go and do and to experience right as you shop. And so obviously they've done a great job because they're worth 10, 20, 40 billion dollars or something like that. But all of their most of their tenants, these employees are not these businesses are not able to be open, or they're only able to be open for to go, or
right.
stuff like that. So that would be super tough if you were the Irvine Company or somebody like the Irvine Company. It would be tough. They might like it because maybe they won't be paying taxes the next 10 years. So they probably see this as a benefit long term. Yeah, it's a commercial. I would sell it to you today for 250,000. Would you take that deal? Deal or no deal?
There you go. Hotspot. Oh, you're cut out. I think you're muted.
Dan, we
Oh,
can't hear
you
you,
mean
bro.
so $1 million for 250 for commercial, and I can't change
Yes.
the zoning.
No, you could. Yeah,
Oh,
sure. Yeah, you
I
can.
mean if
But
it's
would you buy
easy,
that asset in a year from now? Would you buy that?
yeah. I think space is
Yeah.
space. I
I
think
I
you
think
need it.
converting it to something social would be the smartest thing that you could do.
Yes.
Yeah,
Completely
but
agree.
it wouldn't be like my first choice of something to do
Right.
though. So
I would rather, and I think we all would agree with this, I would way rather buy something that I can rent out to a person.
yeah,
Someone for residential income at some sort. I'd like to do that. And I mean, I follow a couple of people, Eric, you and I, and Dan as well, Grant Cardone, and I think
Yeah.
his. I haven't seen it for May. I don't think he's published it, but for April's rent, I think he said was one of the highest rent collections month that he had. But I can't remember. I don't know if you've heard of it, Eric, but what he had in May. But it seems like larger landlord owners, residential income owners, that their rents are still staying somewhat steady. Do you remember if Grant Cardone said anything about his May rent collection?
well, I don't follow him directly, but I do follow people that like criticize him, right?
That's
So
good.
like
Good.
yeah, so the ones that review what he does, I think there's a lot of speculation that he is like in serious trouble. But the money that you see might be like a month behind, right? So
For
we
sure.
might need to see another month to kind of see
A
what's
couple.
going on with him.
Yeah.
But obviously he buys apartment buildings and things like that, just a lot of multifamily.
Yeah.
And those are the people right now that are in the biggest predicament, right? So I would imagine his company is getting hit pretty hard. I don't think it's going to be the
I would
stablest, at
think
least
so
right
too. Yeah,
now.
that's what I was
So
actually
what
gonna
do you
mention
do?
because
Oh,
he's
go ahead.
always preaching like multifamily,
Yeah.
and and I watch those same guys you're talking about that
So
criticize
do I.
him. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, but even someone like reputable like Irvine Company. I mean, we talked about them with the Irvine Spectrum, but they also have Los Olivos, all those apartments, right?
Yes.
Like, let's say 30% of their tenants lost their jobs. I mean, those are not cheap. Those are not cheap apartments. I don't think
hmm
unemployment's going to be enough to cover the rent. and everything else they buy.
No,
Right?
definitely not. Definitely not.
I don't know.
$3,500 for what is it? A 2 bedroom with a garage in Los Alitos?
Yeah.
It's
Lee.
ridiculous.
And then the fact that you can't evict, it just makes it so much harder, right?
But
So
you can in Orange County though, right?
I don't think you can.
No,
I don't
in
think
in
so,
the entire
unless there's some
state.
special rule there.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know.
I thought it was
Yeah.
just LA and San Francisco that you couldn't evict right now.
I think it's for the whole country, but I could be wrong.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I heard like all over like California, but I think it is everywhere. You're not supposed to. But why don't we talk about this? If let's say you did own a bunch of real estate, whether it be 8,000 units, or let's say you own a hundred, rental properties, whether that's mixed between duplexes, apartment building, single family homes. Let's say you had that right now. How could we mitigate the risk right now? How can we mitigate either tenants paying? What should we do if this happened in 40 years? What would you do right now?
I think working with tenants is like key because you don't want them to just go dark on you and just stop paying. I think first of all, letting them know that it's okay if they can't pay, like just to communicate, because if they can afford a lesser rent even, right? You can always work with them to keep them and make them happy rather than scaring them away and letting them just, not pay and not worry about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think working with them, keeping like good communication and offering support would be the way to go, because at least that's better than letting them just not pay 100%.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly same thing. I mean, the same exact thing. Like, hey, at least get something. Everyone, if you lost your job, you can still afford something. You may not be able to afford your $2,400 a month rent, but you might be able to afford $1,000. And I'd rather have that than zero.
Right. That's exactly right.
For sure. Yeah, or it sit vacant for 3 months, or sit with the tenant for 3 months and not pay.
Yeah. So, but then moving forward, people that I let rent I would just try to hire people like in the medical field because that's proven to be like the safest, I think. So medical, like maybe people like as lawyers, like just try to get higher tier renters. Mm-hmm.
Now, so let's say we have high communication. We give some flexibility on rent, being delayed or, have, a month free and it's still, you pay that over the next year or 10 months. And I think that's actually what Orange County I have seen encourage is that if your tenant has issues paying, to work out something to make it up for the duration of the lease. Mm-hmm. So, but let's say we had to take 20 or 30%, let's say loss, for the next 6 months on receiving the rent. Now, because one of the things my wife and I were talking about is carrying more cash, on hand or have access to more cash, whether that be lines of credit or just cash available to where, absolutely nobody saw this coming. Nobody saw that businesses were going to be closed. And at first it started with a 2-week thing, 2 weeks. Yeah. Now we're 2 months, right? And 34 million people I think I saw this morning, 34 million people are have filed and receiving some sort of unemployment. That's never happened. You know what I'm saying? That's never happened so quickly like this. So one thing we were thinking of is having more cash on hand or just the ability to get cash.
Yeah. 100%.
So that was one thing that I was thinking about, but it's just kind of tough because obviously guys our age, yes, we want to have cash, but we also want to continue investing and buying more assets that are going to perform for us versus just keep a whole bunch of cash in a piggy bank that's not doing anything. So I'm trying to think of what is that number? Is that now 6 months of expenses for that property on hand at a time?
I think 6 months is the number to take for. Yeah.
Yeah.
What people that can, obviously with more money, they hold as many years of reserve as they possibly can. But I think for the average person, I think 6 months would be good. But keeping it in a savings account is kind of worthless as well. Like you mentioned, I would keep it in something else. Like even if you keep it like in a CD account, or even if you just put them in the stock market or something. That way you can always sell those stocks, and it's gonna at least work more for you than just sitting.
It's beyond
in a bank.
worthless. It literally loses purchasing power every year by at
Yeah,
least 3%, and that's in
right,
normal times, not when they're printing, not when that money machine's going brrr right
right.
now, and it's 3 trillion. Then they're talking about another 2 trillion. So
Yeah,
going back to will I buy that property for a million for 250 even if it's commercial? Yes, because it's an asset. I'd rather have that than do what with it? Like assets go up during inflation. Now maybe we're in a deflationary period now, but I think maybe there's going to be hyperinflation if they keep printing like this. I don't know. Assets go
yeah.
up in inflation, but they go down in deflation.
Yeah, yeah, and that's a good point too. Because even after we've survived this whole thing, right, and the government gets back to doing what they're trying to do, like in terms
Allowing
of
us to
like, yeah, allowing us to work, but also in terms of just repairing what happened. I think the repercussions of all the stimulus and everything that's going out right now, it's really going to show. So this recovery is going to be so much longer, I think, than what we're really
well,
thinking.
it's going to take much longer, is what you're
Mhm.
saying.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because right now we're having direct
that's
damage from the
right.
virus. Later on, we're going to have damage from the stimulus and everything else that the government had to spend.
Through
Right.
inflation, right? Like inflation.
A
Yeah.
month. What is that? 4 or 5 trillion dollars that they just passed like that.
Right.
I'm not saying that it's good or bad, but that's a lot of when
Yeah.
we're already
I mean, there's
20,
consequences to it, 100%.
right. Yeah, when there's already $22 trillion of debt, and now we're just added just within 1 month, 4 trillion or 5 trillion. I mean
Yeah.
that's a lot of money, and it comes from somewhere, you know, and
Yeah.
I had a conversation with somebody before that, America, which is kind of true, but America is kind of has its own economy. It has its own. We have our own, obviously, dollar. We're kind of self-efficient, and we can print money like this. Yes, that's true, but it's like, well, we haven't really been able to. If that is really true, that it's not going to have any long-term effects by printing these trillions of dollars, why wouldn't we have done that in the past to just knock out our national debt? That's what I don't get. So obviously there is sort of repercussion. Right?
Yeah.
Well, and
Yeah.
that's not
No.
gonna make China happy either, because the reason we can do that is because we're the world currency, right? But
Yeah.
how much longer? So, okay, we're talking about inflation. When
Yeah.
our government prints money, it even affects us, and we're in the United States. Do you know how much
Hmm.
that affects somebody in India? You know how
Oh,
much
right.
like 50 cents is to them? And now
Crazy.
you're telling them that 50 cents is worthless. You need like a dollar 50 for the same thing you bought. I mean,
Right.
other country,
Yeah.
and then in China too, like other countries are really screwed because they have to trade in dollars. Like all the imports and exports is all converted into dollars. So what
Yeah.
we're doing with our dollar is just making it harder for them because they're earning their currency in their country, not dollars.
That's a very
Bitcoin,
good point.
Bitcoin,
That's very good.
Bitcoin.
Yeah.
We gotta buy
Good
Bitcoin,
point.
guys. I'm gonna do a whole nother video on Bitcoin. I want to bring on cryptocurrency experts, but I've been buying, besides stocks,
Hmm.
a lot of Bitcoin, lots.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I believe in that. This is
I
not
believe it.
sustainable. This is not sustainable.
Right. Yeah. No. That's dang. That's a good. Yeah. That's a good.
Check this out.
Good,
Check this out, okay? I'm interviewing this guy tomorrow on my. I know you guys gotta go. Thank you again for doing this. I think everyone's gonna learn. I'm interviewing this doctor from Argentina, okay? Like in Argentina, he's like, he's like the man over there. He got this like coronavirus treatment, okay? So he told me he's from Argentina, and instead of talking about his coronavirus treatment, which is cool, I'll do it on the videos for the clinical trial guru. I talked to him about Bitcoin because I said, look, my second question from him, yeah, we'll do the interview. Here's, and then I said, hey, is it true Bitcoin is gaining more popularity in Argentina now? Here's what he said, okay? And because I heard this, yes, it is, because the local currency is nearly collapsed. 120 pesos are $1. The average salary is 24,000 pesos. That would be $200.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's the rest of the world. If we're doing bad, the rest of the world is going to be 10 times worse.
Yeah.
Dang. Yeah. So yeah, let's get this stuff opened up as quickly as possible.
But what's your
Uh,
guys' strategies this year? Are you doing, like, as we wrap up, let's make this practical for us
yeah,
and for people watching. Are you buying this year anything?
I was
Like
just gonna ask that.
real estate,
Yep.
Yeah.
not stocks. We're already buying stocks and Bitcoin, but real estate.
So real estate, I'm aiming to at least buy one property by the end of the year. But I'm also kind of gauging the market, see kind of what happens. Like I don't want to go in right now when it's like the hardest to qualify and give
Yeah.
myself a headache just going through this process, and then get into something and then something worse happens, right? So I'm being really skeptical of it, but I'm aiming to at least get it by the end of the year. So just gonna see what happens first. I'm also gauging what my tenants are doing to see what happens with them, so I can get a better idea. So I think what's going to happen is we might see something negative happen in the market, which gives some sort of opportunity in housing, and that would be the time to buy. Of course, there's like the strategy of time in the market always beats time in the market. But I think when you're making such a big purchase like with the home, it's good to at least time it a little bit. If you're giving yourself a year, then give yourself that year to look at it.
Yeah, no, especially right now. Yeah, for me, I'd like to, this year or within 10 to 12 months, I'd like to make another purchase for a rental property. I would, I had an opportunity to buy something in Anaheim, but I chose to, it was a flip property, and I was considering buying it, and renting it out, fixing it up, renting it out, and potentially adding a second unit in the back. It was a really good purchase price that we got. But I chose, and I was actually going to call you, Dan, to see if you wanted to go in on it. But I chose to set, because this was 3 weeks ago. And so and we closed. It was only a 7-day escrow. It was super quick. I flipped it to one of my investors. And so they're actually going to flip the property, actually flip it, fix it up and sell it. So I sent it to them, but unless there's an insane deal right now, and I don't think that we're going to see those right now, because again, like I said before, prices are holding. So I would say in 6 months to 12 months, I'd like to buy another, rental property. And I am looking to all my other friends and you guys as well that own rental properties, and making sure nothing crazy is happening with with just the tenants and tenant laws and all of that.
Yeah.
What about you?
I still want to do that thing in Pflugerville with you guys.
Yes.
And I'm also really looking at LA, specifically East LA.
Yep.
If there's like a mass exodus out of LA, which I'm thinking there's a very good chance that might happen. So I'm thinking winter, like by the winter. And I hate to time it with like horrible things going on, but that's when you're gonna get the better deals. But like that second and third wave they talk about in the winter.
I agree with you.
People 100%. Are going to be gone.
I think we're going to see an opportunity in December, November, around there. There should be some opportunity. But yeah, like I think no matter what, whether you're buying a property for yourself or buying a rental property, right now especially, look for a fixer-upper. That's probably the better option for you to at least put, even if it takes like $20,000 to make it nice or whatever. It's better to do that than I think buy a property that's already fixed up, because that's where you start losing some value if the market does crash.
Exactly.
So,
Eric, do you think that there's going to be, like in Palm Desert, in the desert area, do you think that there's going to be this year more incentives on pricing, or pricing coming down quicker? Just because, the desert's more of a, look,
that's a tourist place. It's a tourist place. There's no tourists right now, so
right. Exactly.
So Palm Desert, Palm Springs, Rancho Mirage, it's gonna get hit so hard. It's probably gonna be one of the hardest hit. It's probably gonna be one of the cities hit the hardest in Southern California.
Good point. We might buy there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I brought that up.
I'm
I mean,
open.
I was just down there, and it's a bit of like a ghost town when you drive around. You know, there's like no one there. It's really eerie looking. So
Yeah.
That's okay. That's okay. What did Yeah, I guess we'll end on a Warren Buffett quote, but he said, "Be fearful when others are greedy, and greedy when others are fearful."
yeah, that's what I go by.
Well,
Smart.
thank you guys very much. I'm gonna put links to your Instagrams. You want Instagrams from the
Sure.
Patreons? You guys should all follow Joey and Eric for your, well, real estate needs, obviously. Eric for clinical research and for business needs,
Yeah,
and real estate. I mean, yeah, why not? Everything. All right.
jack
So
of all trades over
I'll
here.
put links in there, and then yeah, this is I like doing these things for the Patreons because they're really
Yeah,
just doing it for us. Like we get to
Right.
brainstorm, but then a
Exactly.
few others who are patrons so far, I need to grow that by the way, get to share in the process too.
Cool.
absolutely.
Awesome. Thanks, y'all.
All
Good
right.
masterminding with you guys.
Thank you guys.
Yeah,
Let's do it again
thank you, everyone.
sometime. We got the
Yes, let's do
Skype
it.
group, so just message anytime. Eric, I'm gonna start texting you articles just like I do Joey when I read
Cool.
things, and
Awesome.
we'll be in touch.
I'll do the same.
Stay safe, guys.
All
Thanks,
right,
guys.
take
Have a
care,
good
guys.
Bye.